with a positive attitude, I think that brave and positivity go hand in hand. Because I think that is what makes you brave. Being positive and having this attitude of like, okay, well, I got it, no big deal. I'm gonna deal with it, and taking things step by step. But the positivity and keeping your head up, and because the moment you get negative, and it's okay to have those negative days, but the moment you do is when everything kind of goes out the window. You've let it defeat you.
That was Poli van Dam from the band the Bombpops, and this is episode 11 of the Bravest Podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bravest Podcast. That was the song California in July from the latest album by the Bombpops, and we have one half of the founding duo on today's show. I'm your host Craig, and this episode features Southern California punk rocker Poli van Dam. And now if you've read anything about me on the website, you know that when I was a kid, I played bass in a hardcore punk band. Now while that was way back in the late 1980s, one's love of the music and everything it stands for doesn't just disappear as the years grind on. So I apologize in advance because I definitely geeked out a bit with Poli during this interview on bands and influences and things of the sort. So Poli grew up just north of San Diego and led the life of a typical SoCal beach kid. And during this interview, she takes us on a journey through the early years where she learned to play piano and then quickly started to develop her taste for playing punk rock guitar. She also shares the fact that not only does her father manage type 1 diabetes, but her younger brother was also diagnosed at the age of 4. Poli recalls taking care of her brother when they were younger and even giving him his insulin injections at times. So when she was diagnosed as a teenager, Poli already had a solid feel of what diabetes was all about and how she needed to take care of herself. Our conversation moves into topics like music influences. We even talk about things like superpowers and how her bandmates help Poli keep her health in check when they're out on tour. This is a super interesting conversation about things like life and, of course, music, as well as what it takes for a touring musician to stay healthy with all the rigors of travel and of performing. Poli is an amazing person, and she's using her platform now to educate the world that nothing, including diabetes, should hold you back ever. Now, along those lines, I am really excited to introduce all of you to a new collaboration. Earlier this year, Stephen and Jen Kramer learned that their 6-year-old son had type 1 diabetes. And although the diagnosis was clearly a shock to them, their hearts told them that they needed to do something to make a positive impact on the world. They felt that they needed to use their new experiences to help others feel like they had power despite any challenges they might face. So they created and launched the apparel company Greater Than. Now, Greater Than is a lifestyle brand dedicated to empowering all individuals. They believe, and they want you to believe, that whatever your challenge might be, you are definitely greater than that challenge. Because of the personal impact resulting from the recent diagnosis of their son, their first campaign focuses on the type 1 community and is branded Greater Than 1. So the cool thing about all of this is that not only are they designing an apparel line, which includes things like baseball hats and t-shirts, they all look amazing, but with every purchase of Greater Than products, a portion of each sale will be donated directly to type 1 diabetes research and for support. And guess what? If you go to their website, which is www.imgreaterthan.com, order up some gear, and if you use the code BRAVEST on checkout, you'll get 10% off your order just for saying you heard about them on the podcast. So what are you waiting for? Get some Greater Than gear, support an amazing cause, and you'll definitely feel amazing if you do that. So go to imgreaterthan.com, and don't forget to use the code BRAVEST for your 10% discount on your entire order when you check out. I really love those guys. They're doing an amazing thing. I want to support them in any way possible, so head over to imgreaterthan.com and check out everything that they're working on. So just one final comment on today's episode. If you listen to the show with your kids, a lot of people do, I just want you to be aware that there's some light language, nothing really crazy in this episode, but it's just a heads up for all the moms and dads out there. Okay, all that said, here's my conversation with Poli van Dam of the band the Bombpops. So, hey, Poli, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's early your time on the West Coast, so I really appreciate you getting up and talking to me today.
Oh, of course. It's my pleasure.
Cool. So I'm really excited to talk with you and kind of dig into your punk rock lifestyle. There's
All right.
so much I want to know. But I was introduced to you through the nonprofit You're Just My Type, which is Laura Pavlakovich's project that helps tell the stories of those with type 1s, the type 1 people around the world, people with type 1 diabetes. And I had Laura on the podcast not too long ago, and she's amazing. She's
amazing. I love her so much.
Yeah, so it seems like you guys are buddies, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we had been, so about, I don't know, like 7 months ago, I was having a bad, diabetes day as you do, and I had an appointment as well, an endocrinology appointment. So I told my husband took the day off to go with me, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to document my whole day. So I did, and it was just little Instagram stories, and then I edited it later for Facebook and stuff. And we have like a mutual friend that my mutual friend had told me about Laura like so long ago. And so after I posted that video, she hit me up that same day and was like, I would love to feature you. And it was so awesome. And we were texting and trying to get together forever, as you know, like trying to schedule stuff like that. Takes a while, but I ended up going to her house because she's here in LA too. And she's like 30 minutes from me. And we just hit it off. We were like instant friends. It was like I just known her my whole life. And what she's doing is just incredible. And it was such an honor to be a part of that and to take photos and tell my story. But what she's doing is great. And it really has opened my eyes up to, ever since I did my own like story and my video, realizing like the platform I have and what I can do. And so I'm still trying to figure out, what I can do, but just speaking out about diabetes and my story, I feel like it's good to be open.
No doubt. And it's interesting that you say that, because in doing research for this conversation today, I realized that there hasn't been a ton of information that you've put out there regarding your kind of history with diabetes up until recently. I think that was the first thing that I can pull offline that actually shared your story in any way.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I realized I kind of have like a little bit of a platform to do something, and more people can maybe listen to my story. And not to sound cheesy, but you can do whatever you put your heart to. It doesn't stop me from touring and all of that. And it was so, yeah, I think more and more people are catching wind in band interviews and stuff. Some people mention it, or I'll be at a show and someone will flash me their pump, and I'll be like, well, I'm on stage. I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, that's so great. That's so
I
great.
think more people are aware now. Yeah.
So let's dive into it. I'm really curious to understand kind of where it all started for you, and then we're going to work our way up through kind of present day, where everybody's waving their pumps at you from the audience of the shows.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Southern California, right?
I did, in like North County, San Diego. So I grew up in Vista. It's very close to, beachy towns, Carlsbad and Oceanside.
So what kind of kid were you growing up?
I was a little fireball. I was an athletic kid. I, went to the beach all the time. Very, living the life in SoCal. When I think back and traveling and looking back to people are like, you're from Southern California, it reminds you and makes you very appreciative of where I grew up.
No doubt.
As well. So just beach kid, sports, music.
What kind of sports did you play?
I played softball. I played golf is my main one. I was on varsity golf all 4 years of high school.
Golf. I would never expect you to say that.
It's the best sport because you can party while you're playing golf. You can mob around in the golf carts. It's like so fun. But I mean, if I would have taken it more seriously, I grew up around it. My dad's a head golf professional at a private country club in Vista, Shadow Ridge Country Club. And so I grew up around it, and that was our home course for the high school. If I didn't, start playing guitar and all that, I would have definitely gotten a scholarship to do golf, but my, heart wasn't in that.
What was your
But
handicap?
it's one of the, oh, I don't even know what my handicap was, but I used to I would shoot. We'd play 9 holes for our tournaments, and we'd play 18 sometimes, but on 9 holes, I could do, a couple over par.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I did 1 under one time.
So do you still have a chance to play now?
I mean, yeah, I still play a lot, and actually a lot of the punk rockers play golf. It's weird, like Fat Mike from NoFX plays, and Jay Bentley of Bad Religion plays, and it's kind of this little, when you realize like a lot of people play golf in the punk rock world and business world. It's a good sport to actually know how to play, and it's one of those sports you can play until you're old, and you can always go out there.
No doubt.
As long as
as
the ball is moving forward, you're good.
As long as it's moving forward, that's right. That's my problem, is that the ball usually goes sideways when I play. But
you got to move forward a little bit, but it can stay on the ground as long as it's rolling.
That's correct. So you mentioned a little bit about your dad being a golf pro. What was your mom like? Was she into sports also, or was that kind of that was not her world?
She's athletic too. She's a runner, and she played, softball growing up. My dad's deep in the world and very, busy. He's not he's a PGA pro, but he's not on the tour. He doesn't go and play. He's a head pro at the country club. My mom played golf one time a long time ago and shot a hole-in-one on her first time actually playing golf. She shot a hole-in-one, and then she just stopped. She quit. She's like, I'm good.
I think that makes a lot of sense. If you get a hole-in-one on your first shot, you're pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So do you have brothers and sisters as well?
I do. I have I'm the oldest of 3, so I'm 26. My sister is 24, and my brother is 19, and he is actually type 1 diabetic.
Interesting.
So, and my dad too. So my dad was diagnosed when he was 16. I'm 7 years older than my brother. My brother was diagnosed when he was 4, and I thought I was, I was clear. And then I got it when I was 16.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about your diagnosis story also, because
I know, sorry, I'm jumping around here.
No, that's totally cool. But I had no idea about your dad and your brother, so that really is an interesting component to your story as well, because you grew up with someone who was a type 1 then.
Right, I did. And it was weird. I mean, even now, looking back, just, my dad, it was very, not secretive, but he didn't really talk about it that much. Even my mom would beg him. He used to play adult roller hockey. She would beg him to, tell your friends. You need to tell them you're diabetic. This could happen, this and that. But it was very kind of quiet. I would see my dad, go to the fridge and do his insulin shot once a day or whatever. But and then when my brother got it, it was obviously more of a thing. But so when I was diagnosed, it was let me test your blood. You're thirsty, We tested my blood. We knew right away.
Yeah.
But because it was so, in my family, it was, we knew about it. Luckily, I wasn't hospitalized. I was able to go home, and it was just okay, we know how to do this,
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. So what were you just kind of experiencing one day, just all the symptoms that we would all experience when we're first diagnosed, kind of
I mean, we went on a family RV trip. We borrowed my grandparents' RV and went up the coast, and I was 16, so I was already rebelling and hated my parents and this and that, and I was just so tired. I was chugging soda. I mean, it was thankfully Diet Coke because we already had that because my dad, but I just could not get enough. I couldn't quench my thirst, and I was just peeing, and I was 90 pounds. And it just kind of we got back from the vacation. I was about to go to my friend's house for a sleepover, and I was like, Mom, I've been so thirsty. I remember it so clear. I was like, I've been so thirsty. Test your blood. We tested my blood. It was 500. And it was just what? And I still went to my friend's sleepover, and I just ate all the crap that I did because I was going to the doctor in the morning. But it was such a weird, when you just go and they're like, yeah, you're diabetic. You're leaving there, stopping by McDonald's for French fries and doing a shot. It's this is what I now have to do for the rest of my life. It was unreal. It still is unreal to like think about that whole time.
Yeah, so
How it's like, here it is,
Can you recall at all how your dad reacted at all? Was he
Yeah.
did he show his
Yeah.
emotions at all? Because I have to
Yeah.
imagine he must have been pretty floored.
He was, I mean, to be, again, like, going back to when my brother, I mean, my son is 4, like thinking about my 4-year-old getting diagnosed with this. And I remember running to the store with my dad or something that day, and he was just, a wreck. And he feels like it's his fault, which you would feel like I passed on these genes or whatever. But when I was diagnosed, same thing. He just felt terrible. I remember he was bawling. He ran through a stop sign. I'm like, Dad, okay, calm down. Let's not die in this car right now. It's rough, and I think he still feels that way. But what can you do?
Yeah. So thinking about that, and if you can think back to when you were a kid, who was the biggest influence, do you think, in your life around that time?
I mean, as far as like getting through that moment,
Yeah, because that's pretty
time.
tough. It's tough on you, but clearly it sounds like you're trying to hold it together, and you were pretty solid, and your dad
Well,
was clearly very upset. But
yeah. Well, you know what? It was my little brother, because I was like, my little brother has been dealing with this since he was 4, a baby. I essentially, and yeah, my little brother was actually my little inspiration.
that's
If
pretty
he can
awesome.
do it, I could do it, and I'll be here for him. And I was babysit him when he was 4. During summers, my parents had to go to work. I was doing his insulin shots when I was 10.
That's a lot of
So
responsibility to put on a 10-year-old.
I know. I'm like, damn. And then I got to the point where I got scared to start doing his shots because he like cried one time, and I started like not being able to do it. He'd be like, just do it. And I couldn't do it. But, so yeah, but he was my little inspiration. Definitely. He still is. I mean, he's such an active guy. He surfs 2 times a day. He has not let it affect him at
Yeah,
all.
and there's no reason for it to affect, especially. And I've spoken to a lot of folks who are type 1. They were diagnosed super early in life, and for me, I was diagnosed as an adult, and I look at those people that I speak to that were diagnosed super young, and I said, oh my God, I feel so bad because in my mind, like, childhood was robbed to a certain extent. But
Right.
then they're like, no, I feel bad for you. I've been living like this forever, and there's such positive things that have
Right.
come out of it. And I want to talk a little bit about that with you too. But yeah, so
How old were you when you?
I was 27 when I was
Okay.
diagnosed.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my blood sugars. I lost about 30 pounds in a month,
Oh, wow.
and all the classic symptoms. And I ended up getting, when I went into the hospital, my blood sugars were over 800. And
Ugh.
I was literally hallucinating on the subway platform in Manhattan, in New York City.
My God, that's so
Really
scary.
pretty amazing time. But you know something? And I've said this in previous podcasts, and I've talked a lot about this in the past, is that, yes, it was a life-changing event. It completely altered a lot of things, but there's so many amazing things that have come out of that one particular point in my life that I don't know if I would trade it. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think I would trade it. Trust me, I'd love not to have to deal with it day to day.
Yeah. No, I know.
But you have to look at things from a positive perspective as much as
Right.
possible. So
Well, it is what it is, and we have, we can manage it somewhat.
no doubt,
You're gonna have your days, but
no
so
doubt.
many worse things that can happen. But yeah, with my brother, it's like I was 16, so I got to not have to worry about eating all the sugar and being a kid. But at the same time, I rebelled so hard against it because I was 16. I had a boyfriend my parents hated. I was just got my license. Like, I already was so, like, just normal teenager. Woe is me. So it was a definite crucial time that it happened to me. I would have maybe a couple years before would have been nice, or after, but can't plan it, I guess.
Sure. So here's a random question for you, and then I want to move
Hmm.
on a little bit to the music as well, because that's a super important part of your life right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, random question. When you were a kid, if you identified with a superhero, or maybe what superpower you wish you had the most, which one would you identify most with?
Um, I don't know. I've always wanted to fly. So fly, what Superman flies, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's always like the superpower you want is to fly. Just be like, peace out, bitches. Or like in traffic, you can deal with getting away with all the traffic in
Especially,
LA.
especially in LA and New York. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I know.
Too funny. So let's fast forward a little bit to kind of the foundations of your music background. Who introduced you to music? What was kind of like the beginning point of your world in music as a kid?
Well, as a kid, I always say the best thing my parents like ever did for us is put me and my sister in piano lessons when I was 5. I started taking piano lessons, which gives you everything. You got bass clef, you got treble, you got music theory, you're reading music. So I did that, playing recitals. I would always, Christmas and all this stuff, I was kind of just a crazy boss to my sister and would make us do these recitals for the family with piano and singing. But what really got me was my dad had this that my aunt was holding on to, his old Ludwig drum set. It's like sparkly blue from like the 60s that he had when he was like 10. And when I get my mind on something, I have to do it right away. And I think I was about 11 or 12, and I restored the drum set. So I took it in, I paid for it to get all fixed up. And my dad taught me like a couple, super easy, some Beatles song, just super Ramones, like I Want to Be Sedated, just,
Yep.
on the drums. And then wanted to play guitar, got a guitar when I was 13, and then started taking lessons. So the music was all there, especially I would say definitely from like my dad's side of the family. And my dad was always the one. I mean, my dad's a huge U2 fan. I mean, I love U2 just because I was raised on it, but a lot of people make fun of them, but whatever.
No, hey, wait, let's back up. U2 was back in the day. U2 was punk.
Punk is, I know. I know. I used to read all books about them back in the day. That's what my dad always used to tell me. And Violent Femmes when I'm, 8 years old, blasting it, dropping me off at school. And Beatles and Ramones and all that. My dad showed me all that good stuff. He's all into that. So
that's really interesting. So your dad was kind of like the OG punk rocker in your house then?
He kind of was, but let's not let that get to his head because he's not that cool. I'm just kidding. He's awesome. But yeah, that goes later. I mean, he's always been so supportive. So, I mean, continuing, I guess, with the story, I got my guitar and my mom's like, hey, if you're going to get this, like, you need to stick to it. I'm like, I'm going to stick to it. And it was a shitty little guitar. It's black and white. It's called the Slammer.
Okay.
My first little guitar I had, and I got a little Marshall mini practice amp. And my friend started taking lessons at this rehearsal studio from this guy, Al Padilla. And I convinced my mom to take me. And my first lesson, long story short, he was like, wow, she's, he met with my mom after and said, she really gets it. Like there's something here. And I think I had like one more lesson. And then my lessons started turning into band practices because the guy started a band with me. So my lessons kind of turned into like full jam sessions. And I mean, I just remember the first time I went there and like jamming in the room with like a drummer loud as hell with half stacks. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what I have to do. There's like, I want to come here every day. I'm 13 years old. Like the place kind of smells like, I'm like, my parents started dropping me off and letting me do it. And I thank them so much for being so supportive. And then coming to playing shows and being in dive bars when I was 13 years old, my dad was always there. And then as soon as the show started, get in the truck, got to go home. So they let me play in bars and do all that, which, you kind of need to start doing if you're serious about it.
No doubt, but
very young.
What's really cool though is the fact that you started with kind of this semi kind of classical training where you really started getting the basics of music, which a lot of people don't get. And you kind of worked your way through the ranks from learning piano, drums, moving on to guitar. Where was the connection with the guitar though? Because look, piano, as you said, has everything really, but and drums. Look, everybody wants to be a drummer. I wanted to be a drummer. I ended up being a bass player. But where did the love of the guitar really come from?
I mean, I just wanted to, I was like, I want to be a rock star. I want to play guitar. I want to sing and play guitar. That's what I wanted to do, And the piano is great. I still love to play the piano, but kind of starting, I think there were some middle school kids in school that were trying to start a band, and I was begging to be in it, but they were all dudes. And I just really wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to play guitar. I mean, that was just what was next. I also played clarinet for 3 years in the middle school. I was first chair clarinet in the middle school band. And I wanted to do drums in middle school too, but I'm glad I did clarinet. It was fun.
So that's clarinet's not as punk rock as guitar, but that's a pretty...
No, definitely not. But I still have it. I try to bust it out once in a while.
Very cool. So if we fast forward just a little bit to kind of your present day band, the Bombpops, you guys started in 2007, so it's not like you guys are new by any means whatsoever. You've been around for a long time, and your partner in crime is Jen, right?
Yes.
When did you guys link up? How'd you guys find each other?
So same studio. This guy had this rehearsal space, taught guitar out of it, had bands practice there. He ended up moving it to a bigger spot, and it was just kind of where I always hung out. He had a big warehouse in the back where they would throw shows, and we were just always so involved. It was such a cool thing to do, as a teenager, to have that. And Jen she is, 4 years older than me. She was practicing there with her boyfriend at the time. They had a band. And so she would always see me. We would always see each other, and it was acquaintance, whatever. And then she ended up playing bass in the band. We had a few different names, but I was 13 years old, and the band was called the Vodka Dolls, which is so nice.
The Vodka Dolls, okay.
Yeah, appropriate for a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
And she started playing. We needed a bass player, so she started playing songs with us and stuff. And then, we realized, Al was 10. The guitar teacher, was 10 years older than me. He always told me, I'm setting you up, you're gonna go and do your own thing, pretty soon here. And it was always oh, I don't want to leave this and do this. But anyway, Jen and I started our own band. She showed me this. She was in community college and recorded this song, and she's I wrote this song and I want you to sing it. And I remember that moment in her car. We were listening to the song. We're let's do it. And the next week we were practicing in my bedroom, a few times a week, and we were very motivated. Nothing was going to stop us. We were this is exactly what we're going to do. We would go to shows. We would go to Warped Tour. I'd be we're going to open for NoFX one day. We're going to open for these bands one day. We're going to do this. And we would pass out our CDs. And I don't know how we found each other. She's there's no other chick that I could, first of all, play guitar like me and just understand me so well. I'm how did we find each other? It's really weird. It's, it's to have another chick that is the same as me.
Well, the universe conspires to make things happen.
It really does. It really does.
So were both of you into the same music, or did you come to the table with different influences?
Well, she, being older than me too. So she seriously introduced me to a lot of what I love now. Most of what I love. She was all of the Fat Records, Epitaph, NoFX, Bad Religion, Alkaline Trio, Lagwagon, Millencolin, all of those bands. Penny Bridge Pioneers, Millencolin record. That was the record she first started showing me, and I was just obsessed. And I was just punk or die, But melodic pop.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely kind of pop punk. The background that I come from is more New York City hardcore, early 80s. So if you go back, and it's so crazy how I look at this as history, but if you look at bands like the Cro-Mags or Youth of Today or Gorilla Biscuits, that was kind of my world of punk back in the day. And I started listening to bands like, the Sex Pistols and the Ramones and all those kind of bands that came out of the late 70s also. But it's interesting because now, even now, as I listen to you guys, and I want to talk about specifics on with music that you guys are playing, it's like I totally relate to everything that you guys are playing because I can see the influences from previous generations of music. Even, look, I used to listen to Bad Religion. It was around the time when I was playing as well. But
Uh-huh.
even bands, I don't even know if you know a band called Dag Nasty, but you guys definitely have influences that sound like you're from them also, which is kind of that surf punk type of a feel too. So very cool stuff that you guys have created.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's very that surf. It shows where we grew up to, that surf skate,
Yep.
skate and surf rat music.
No doubt, no doubt. So being a professional musician is definitely not an easy road, and that requires, as we've been talking about, a lot of hard work, a lot of practice time, a lot of motivation. So I've asked this question of a number of my guests in one form or another, and you're a touring musician, as you mentioned, you're a mom, you're someone who's living with type 1. All these present their own unique beauty as well as their own unique challenges. Now, in order to be successful at any one of those, do you think it's more important to be motivated from within, or are outside forces more of a motivating factor for you personally?
I mean, personally, I would love to say it's more from within, and I was always motivated, before I had my son, with all of the music. But I think as far as my health, and then having my kid, he definitely motivates me, one, mainly to take care of myself. Not that if I didn't have him, like, I would treat myself like shit, but I really do. He motivates me, and he motivates me to, I want to get to the point. He's come on our last tour for like 5 days. I want to get to the point where he comes to Europe next year. It motivates me to want to make more money and to want to do this at a more professional level because I have him. I want to bring him. I want to, show him the world. And then I also want to, live a full, healthy life for him and myself. But it definitely is an outside force, I guess you can say.
Sure. The one thing that I actually can totally appreciate, because I've seen videos online and also some pictures, is when you take him out on tour, you actually put earmuffs on him when he's
Yes.
I love that.
Oh yeah, I'm like anal. There was this baby that came to our show in Salt Lake City and didn't have anything, and earmuffs are. You need to get the big headphones for like babies, but we had some earplugs at our merch table, and I was like, gave the mom, was like, here, please put these in your child. It's so loud. It's.
Oh yeah. Well, look, in my real life, my background is audiology, and I've worked with tons of people, touring professionals, musicians. I got involved in in-ear monitors when they first started, really, and hearing protection and prevention of hearing loss has always been a big part of my life. So when I see someone who is really mindful, especially with their kids, in those types of environments, it means a lot. So a lot of people don't think about it.
He can hear plenty of what he needs to hear. His first show he was 6 months. He went to No Effects and Offspring.
That's a great first show.
He had his little earphones on and he was sleeping.
That's amazing. So do you think that diabetes has kind of impacted you creatively in any way?
I definitely think so, because I write my best songs when I'm sad and down or feel sorry for myself. And once in a while you gotta feel sorry for yourself. I don't write any songs specifically about diabetes, although there might, who knows, we're not very political, but all this healthcare shit is insane. But it does. Yeah, it does. Because it affects your mood. And when my mood is crazy, then my songs are good,
Yeah, there's no doubt that creativity comes from a place of pain a lot of times, whether it's poetry or music or art in general. So maybe we could talk just a little bit about diabetes and being on the road. So what are some of the challenges that you've faced on the road as it relates to diabetes management in terms of maybe, food or insulin or are there any challenges that you think are specific to touring?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a lack of routine. And I think, I've been way better about it. And my band is great, and Jen is great. And she'll have to remind me, do you want to go right now and get some, I'm sleeping in the van. Should you get up and go, get some orange juice for later? Or she'll grab me like a Gatorade or orange juice. It's just sometimes being in the position that you can't get your sugars up right away, but it's just like, okay, get some stuff on hand. Jen's kind of the mom of the band too, so she's been good, like helping me. Sometimes I'm not as responsible, but but definitely the lack of routine. And then I would say, I've really realized adrenaline after playing a show, my blood sugar will be off the charts. So I've been doing now that I've only done 2 tours with my Dexcom. I just got it in May. So now that I have that, I can see, where the trend, where it's going. But before that, I'm like, now I know I can do a couple units of insulin. It sounds dumb, but I have to do units to play a show.
No, it makes a lot of sense, actually.
Because of adrenaline, yeah.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting because I put out the call on Instagram to see what kinds of questions that the universe might have for you. And the one of the questions was interesting because they actually asked if you had experienced any episodes of low blood sugar when performing, and what did you do about it?
Yeah, so that's like my main fear. So I'm like, it's never happened. And again, before having the Dexcom, when I got the Dexcom, I was just like, I can't believe I haven't had this sooner doing what I'm doing. I mean, it's huge I'm checking my phone. Okay, my blood, I keep it a little high before I go on just because I'm terrified. Like, that's my worst fear, is to go low, because you know how long it takes. You could go low and you can chug some orange juice, but it's still going to take so long to feel right. So, like, if I went low on stage, I could chug an OJ, but I'm still going to be, like, shaky and messed up for the rest of the set, probably. So I've never let myself go low. If anything, if my blood's 200, even 3 before I go on stage, I'll just, like, keep it. And then just deal with it after,
Yeah, to a certain extent, you're kind of like an athlete, especially with a punk rock show, because you're not standing still on stage by any means. You're constantly moving around. There's a lot of energy on stage. But you're right, the physicality of it and the energy that you guys are experiencing when you're out there playing, it just gets your adrenaline going, it gets your cortisol levels running, and as a result, you're probably going to end up running a little higher when you're on stage. So, and
I just, I kind of accept that and just adjust after. But yeah, but now that our sets are, we're playing longer sets too. I mean, we used to do 25, 30 minutes, but when you're headlining, especially when we go to Europe, we're playing over an hour. So I'm like, I better be good up here for that long. But I'll always, I used to have, keep a little like glass of Coke on my amp or whatever.
Yeah, you're full on for an hour. You have to be fueled up for it. So
yeah. But yeah, that's been more. I saw those comments on Instagram. I was like, yeah, that's been my worst. One of my main like fears in life is going low on stage, but it has not ever happened yet.
Sure.
Knock on wood.
So talking about fear, the Bombpops' first full-length album was released earlier this year, and it's called Fear of Missing Out, which is a very common term nowadays, especially with social media.
I know, yeah. I think we jumped on it right in time, too. I was like, you guys, this term is coming up. It's a real problem for us. We have it. Let's name our album this.
It's perfect. So the entire album, I've listened to it many, many times since we started having a conversation not too long ago. Now, the entire album is awesome, but my favorite track is California in July, simply because I go to California in July usually. But but going back to some of your earlier work, I find myself singing Can of Worms by myself in my car. And when I'm sitting in traffic, the people around me definitely think I'm crazy because I'm totally into it. And
yes, I love it. You're awesome. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. But there's actually a really cool story behind another one of my favorite songs on the new album called Be Sweet. And I read something really interesting online, and I'm hoping that you might be able to share the story of where the song's lyrics came from.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar with the band Teenage Bottle Rocket, but they're on Fat Records, and they're really, really good friends of ours, and we've been friends with them for years before, we were on Fat, probably right around them getting on Fat, and twin brothers, Ray and Brandon, and Ray plays guitar and sings, and Brandon plays drums, and Brandon, unfortunately, passed away a little over a year ago, and we were on tour when we got wind that he was in a coma, and we were just starting off our tour, and it was just a grim time, and it's horrible. it's we just were also on tour with them. Before that, we had some really good times and good conversations. But Jen, a long time ago, was hanging in a hotel room with Ray and Brandon, and Brandon had this song that he was playing on guitar. He's like, I want you guys to write this to, like, he wrote it for his, like, girlfriend or wife at the time. He's like, I really want you guys to, like, change the lyrics, and I want to write the song for you. And he wrote down all of the lyrics on hotel pieces of paper, and Jen didn't even remember how, the melody was or how the guitar was, nothing about it, but we had the lyrics. And so after he passed away, we asked Ray, his brother, if that would be okay if we went forward with writing that. And we really didn't even have the song written. We knew we were going to do it. We knew it was going to be on the record when we went to Denver to record it. But that was a song that we put all those lyrics, and we used every little bit, like even the little tagline at the end of the song. Like at first, like didn't make sense, but I was like, we used up every lyric that he had written down. And we wrote it all in the studio, the melody and the guitar parts and everything. So that was really cool to have. And it's a song that gives me chills still. And Brandon would be so stoked on it in the video and everything. He would just be like, oh man, like what?
Yeah, it's such a great song, and the meaning behind it, especially that you guys had such personal involvement with it, really from the germination, from the beginning of it. The fact that it was just written in the hotel room with you guys.
No, I'm so glad that we were able to do that, and how it just came together so quick in the studio too. It was just like it was meant to happen. There was definitely like a certain vibe going on in there too.
That's so great. That's so great. So you guys are just back from a West Coast tour. You guys ended at the Whiskey in LA, which I'm kind of bummed because I was in LA the last week of July, so I'm bummed that I missed seeing you guys live. But there'll be opportunity.
I know. Yeah, you have to let me know when you come back. You come in July then to California?
We're typically in July a few times a year, in Cali a few times a year.
Cool.
But I'll definitely let you know when we are. And if you guys are on the East Coast, you'll definitely have to let me know too.
Oh, I will. For sure.
So you're getting ready to head out on the European leg of your tour for pretty much the entire month of October, and then there's a couple of dates in Florida at the end of October, I think. Is this the first time?
So there's.
Is this the first time you guys are going to Europe?
We went 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a month 2 years ago. We did 7 countries, I think. Europe is just, they appreciate arts and music still so much over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different world when you go and tour there than touring here. Not that, I hate it, but I mean, they just take care of you, feed you, hotel rooms. It's just different than here. It's just so much more still a thing and appreciated there. Here you get like 2 drink tickets for a PBR, when you go to the venue.
Sure.
So I'm super excited. It's gonna be it's a long time, but it's gonna be good.
So
plus we haven't been for 2 years.
That's so great. Where in Europe is your favorite place to play?
Germany is like the best for punk rock, I would say, and those were some of my favorite shows when we were over there. We did some cool, I can't even tell you like where in Spain, but where they put us up in these cottages by the beach, by the nude beach, and just a dream. It was so awesome. But Germany's definitely really fun. We're gonna do more of Italy this time, and we're doing the UK, which we've never been to the UK, so we have like 5 or 6 dates there, I believe.
So what I'm going to do is in the show notes, I'll send everyone to the Bombpops website so they can listen to the songs from the latest album.
Cool.
And everyone will also see the details where you guys are going to be touring, so they can basically experience you guys live and in the flesh. So
perfect. Yeah, hopefully we can get some.
All the links to you on social media too. So that's super
awesome.
Exciting stuff. So just a couple of questions for you. I know that you've got to run in a second. I want to be super respectful of your time. Is there something about you that you think would surprise people who don't know you?
You know what? I would say that, just right off. You know what? As the punk rocker, maybe people see me as party girl, this and that. But when I'm home, I'm like home. I'm a homebody, and sometimes I feel bad because I, ditch my friends and I don't go out and don't go to as many, shows that I should go to here. But I like to be home. I like to take care of myself. I like my sugars to be mellow, and I like to be mom in it, when I'm home. And when I kind of have the best of both worlds, I'm home, I'm mellow, and then I get to go out and have fun and tour the world. But I really just I'm all about family. I'm such a family person, and just being home with my kid and my husband and watching some shitty reality TV shows. I love reality TV, like all of the crap. Keeping Up with the Kardashians, all the Real Housewives. Maybe people know that, but that might be a fun fact for you.
Such great shows, of course. They've added so much to the landscape
of
our...
Oh, man. They've made me so intelligent. I feel myself just getting smarter when I watch that.
Yes, no doubt. So 2 more questions for you. If you were locked in a room for a year, and I'm not going to deprive you of food and water, and of course you'd have all the meds that you'd need to stay healthy. So there's no deprivation there from that perspective. But if you could only listen to one artist, one album for that entire year over and over again, what album would it be?
One. See, okay. I mean, I had this question before, but I was on an island.
See, but the problem is if we're on an island as someone who has diabetes, we're going to face other issues. So I figure I want to make sure.
We need like a fridge stocked of stuff.
I want to make sure you're taken care of. So.
Is there beer too?
If you choose, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Alkaline Trio, God Damn It, or Here to Infirmary, or Millencolin Penny Bridge Pioneers. I know that's not one, but
yeah, you're totally cheating.
That's kind of I know I'm cheating. Okay, Millencolin Penny Bridge Pioneers.
Okay.
I used that for my other answer on another interview before, but it's just because it's like my basis, like how I just fell in love with punk to me, and it's a good variety of songs on that. Yeah, I could hang with that.
Okay.
But I would still go crazy. I would still be like, no, I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah, anybody who's into music, you need to have a little bit of variety in your day. So.
Yeah.
So last question, what does the word brave mean to you?
The word brave, what does the word brave mean to you? It means that you can go on and face your day and face all of your issues and complications in your life without, it doesn't matter what it is, and that's easy to say because people go through some stuff that's, obviously way harder than what we handle, but with a positive attitude, I think that brave and positivity go hand in hand. Because I think that is what makes you brave. Being positive and having this attitude of like, okay, well, I got it, no big deal. I'm gonna deal with it, and taking things step by step. But the positivity and keeping your head up, and because the moment you get negative, and it's okay to have those negative days, but the moment you do is when everything kind of goes out the window. You've let it defeat you.
That's
so I think it means being positive, keeping your head up.
Very punk rock.
Okay, cool. It's a good answer.
I think it's awesome. Poli,
okay.
Thank you so much. It was really great to talk to you. I appreciate the time today and for you sharing your story, and it definitely means a lot to me that you were able to kind of come on, and I know that you're in between touring and rehearsing and all that stuff, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I seriously appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see where this takes you, and I'm seriously, I could talk to you for hours. I really could. So Likewise. We should do this again.
I'm all for it. Yeah, no doubt. And again, please let me know when when you guys are in the U.S. again touring. I definitely come out to see you guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
So there you have it. You guys definitely have to check out Poli and her amazing band, the Bombpops. I'll include links to their website, their videos, and upcoming tour dates in the show notes for this episode. So head over to thebravestlife.com/011 for all that information and more. As always, I want to thank all of you for joining us for this episode of the podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please be sure to share this episode with someone you love. Again, the link for the episode is thebravestlife.com/011. Also, please don't forget to head over to iTunes. If you could take a few minutes to share your thoughts on the show and leave a review, That would be a really great place to share the love with anyone impacted by diabetes or anyone just trying to take life head on to create the healthiest version of themselves. Poli, we'll all see you out on tour. Thanks again, everyone. I'm Craig, and we will catch you next time on the Bravest Podcast.